A while ago, I have to say, I got into a sort of artist slump. I didn't really enjoy drawing as much as I know I used to, and to be honest, all my drawings were beginning to look the same, and I didn't like that because that's tough. And I didn't know exactly how to tackle it, but I looked at my drawings, especially from 2021, where I drew like 763 drawings or something, and I looked at all of them, and I realized I really liked how they looked back then, and I honestly thought they were kind of better than my art now. Like, they were more creative, they were colorful, they just looked so cool, and I was like, where did my spark go? And I think the big thing is that I wasn't having fun with my art as much anymore. For the most part, for the past few months, I had been just working on my comic for the most part, working on Doomlight, which is my passion project, but also, I will admit, it's not my favorite story, and because of that, also not taking many breaks from it, and also just feeling like it had to be perfect and everything. There were so many different things that I think all led to feeling art block or art burnout maybe. And so eventually I could not work on Doomlight at all for a month now. It started back in September, the end of September. I put a lot of pressure on myself because I've been wanting to finish Doomlight this year, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this happen no matter what. And I think I pushed myself too hard because, let's be honest, comic making is very taxing, and sometimes because of the monotony of it all and only having certain things that you need to draw and certain poses, and also drawing things that you don't necessarily like drawing as much, it just caused me to feel very stuck, and I didn't enjoy art as much as I used to. And I wasn't sketching much, I wasn't making too many other artworks, and I was just not having a good time. So throughout October and a little bit of September, I've taken steps back. I haven't touched Doomlight since the end of September, so it's kind of crazy how long I've stayed away from it, but it's not as bad as some of my hiatuses have been. I once had a hiatus over a year long, but to be fair, I was also redrawing Doomlight at that time. But I took a step back, and the good thing is October is full of art challenges like Inktober and OC-tobers. I've been competing in, well, not exactly competing, but I've been participating in an OC-tober hosted by Covalent Bonds on Instagram. I don't really follow them, but honestly I should. I've checked out some of their art and it's really cool. Shout out to Covalent Bonds. But it's really helped me to begin to enjoy art again, and the prompts made it so that I didn't have a specific thing I needed to draw. I could draw whatever as long as it pertained to the prompt and it had my OCs. And I have to be honest, I feel like I really have gotten back to my 2021 art in a lot of ways. Of course, my art now looks a lot more polished. In some ways, it's better. In some ways, it's worse. Because, like, let's be honest, you can't show that childlike joy as much in more professional-looking art. It just does not... They don't exactly mesh together. When you're more of a beginner, you're starting out, you have that passion. You have this sort of art that just looks good. And it doesn't look good because you're necessarily good at art. It looks good because you're having fun and you're passionate about drawing this. That's why being fixated on certain medias or something and just drawing what you're excited about is so important. I would recommend that to everyone. Because, like, one other thing I've been doing a little bit throughout the last year, I've been doing little art studies, and they haven't been like the traditional, study anatomy a lot, study lighting a lot, study composition a lot. It's more been just whatever I'm excited about and I also want to get better at, and I feel like I can do at the moment. So I've done a study on one of my favorite characters from Genshin Impact. I've studied medieval clothing. I've also studied some Chinese clothing a little bit here and there throughout the past few years. And I've done some gesture drawings using the quick pose timer thing. There are a lot of websites for that, but all of it I've only done when I really want to do it for the most part, or I also feel like I have to do it, but it's important to want to do it at that time as well and to enjoy the process, because if you don't, then art is going to begin to feel like a chore rather than a hobby, and that's not fun. That's one of the reasons I might caution against starting a YouTube channel or something. But overall, I do recommend you start a YouTube channel. I think that's mostly an idea for another day, but you really want to enjoy it before you're focusing solely on the money aspect, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to be able to create captivating content. At least you're not going to be able to keep with it, and it's just not going to be genuine from the heart. So just enjoying art and having fun with it, it's so good. And another thing I've been doing to help with art and inspiration in art is looking a lot at Pinterest, because I sometimes go through phases where I'm always on Pinterest. Other times I barely touch Pinterest for a couple months, but Pinterest is really good for getting ideas and inspiration, and it shows you a very aestheticized, is that a word? But it shows you an aesthetic look at the world, at certain things. It has a lot of artwork. Of course, I do have some problems with how often people don't get credited on Pinterest and how hard it is sometimes to find who's the original poster. But I think Pinterest is such a cool resource library, and it has helped me with art as well. I have this really big Pinterest board that's dedicated to different poses for art, and they're all like drawings rather than like physical IRL photos. And I mean, that's just how my brain works, so I've been able to use that as a reference sometimes, or just for inspiration to figure out what sort of pose I would want to do. Taking inspiration from so many different sources, I think, is the way to go, because then you aren't relying on just one source. You also don't necessarily like copy something way too eerily to the point where you are basically tracing, which that's kind of a topic for another day. It can be helpful to sort of trace, but you also need to credit them at times like that. And honestly, I need to get better at crediting as well. I honestly need to get better at remembering what inspires me, which is also another topic for another video. My inspirations is going to be a nice video, but yeah, I think that's all I can talk about for now. But just having fun with art is so important, and I would say if you're having trouble having fun with art, try something new. Draw your comfort characters. Make a new character. Do whatever, as long as it sounds fun to you and it is fun to you. And don't be afraid based on wanting everything to look perfect. That's the other thing. I was too focused on perfection and making everything look just perfect that I was not enjoying art anymore. I mean, I was, but it just felt like a burden every time I had to work on Doomlight. So my art room that I ended up I've been spending so much time making it perfect for me, which, by the way, your room does influence your mind, so make sure your room gives you inspiration and helps with creativity. But I had focused so much on making my art perfect that even though my room is supposed to be just give me inspiration and stuff, it was not helping. I ended up avoiding it, and I did not draw as much on my computer, which means I wasn't working on my comic at all, but I was just fully avoiding my comic. And I just was not in the right headspace to be making the comic, so I did have to step back. And I'm glad I did, because now I feel like I can approach Doomlight so much better. So, yeah, that's my advice to you. If you're not feeling that spark of creativity, of fun, if you're not feeling that passion in art anymore, try making something different. Maybe even try different types of art. Like, you can try sewing or crocheting, or maybe even like songwriting or dancing, singing, whatever. As long as it seems like something you'd enjoy and you take the time to learn that, and hopefully that'll bring your spark back completely.